top 4 is upon us. Ash will be going up against N, who has dominated the competition so far with Reshiram and Reshiram alone. However, Zekrom still hasn't awakened, and Ash is starting to doubt his own abilities. He looks at Pikachu as he enters the arena and comes face to face with N. N tells Ash that he's slightly disappointed that Zekrom hasn't awakened yet, but it does not matter. He tells Ash that he's been waiting a long time for this, the battle of truths versus ideals, the battle to decide whether or not people and Pokemon will live together in the future. N tells Ash this is where both of their views will be challenged to their absolute limit. N then states that this is no place for the two of them to fight. He raises his hand and then the ground starts to shake a bit. Ashton screams at N, asking him what this is. N just laughs as he commands the castle of Team Plasma to rise up and cover the Unova League. The ground then cracks open as a giant castle surrounds the Unova League. The league is in shambles and the audience is in a state of distress. N then hops on Reshiram and flies towards the castle, telling Ash he will await him in the throne room. Ash, in an angry state, starts making his way up the staircase to reach N at the castle, but is then stopped by an army of Team Plasma grunts and the 7 sages, who state that Ash has no business with their king, and they won't allow him to pass. Ash starts battling the grunts, getting backup from Hilda, Sharon, Bianca, Hilbert, Silent, and Iris. Meanwhile, Charles Goodshow and the league staff focus on evacuating the audience from the league. Despite being stronger, our group of heroes are struggling against Team Plasma. Their numbers are so great and it's overwhelming them. Hilda tells Ash that he needs to make his way to N and that they have this covered. Ash replies saying that he can't make it through without more help, and there's no way he can make it through this army. Then suddenly, an Excadrill appears out of nowhere and somehow starts knocking out some of the Team Plasma Grunt Pokemon. Ash then turns around to see none other than Clay with his Excadrill. Suddenly, all the gym leaders appear in the stadium. Chili, Cress, Lenora, Berg, Elisa, Clay, Skyla, Bryson, Drayden, they're all here. Then Alder appears, and beside him is none other than Unova's Elite Four. Alder tells Ash that he expected something like this may happen, so he informed the league to be here the same day as Ash's match against N, in case anything went south. Alder's apprentice Marshall then tells Ash they got this covered, and he can't waste any more time standing around here. Ash nods as he starts making his way up the staircase leading to N's castle. One of the 7 sages tells the league they will not make it through this, and they will not tolerate this. Drayden laughs, telling them they won't stop at nothing to ensure the kids' victory. The battle between our heroes and Team Plasma then truly begins. Who will come out on top? Ash finally makes it to N's castle, and the doors open on their own. Ash walks in to see a maid who welcomes Ash, calling him Master. She states that His Majesty is waiting for his arrival and to please follow her. Ash then walks with the maid, and the maid explains the story of N, how he only found friends in Pokemon, especially those hurt by humans. He, along with the 7 sages, founded Team Plasma to liberate Pokemon from people, to create a more peaceful and balanced world. As Ash listens, he looks around the castle, seeing many Team Plasma grunts bowing to him. The maid then stops at a door and states His Majesty will take things from here. Ash opens the door and finds none other than N sitting on his throne, with Reshiram at his side. N welcomes Ash with open arms, telling him the time has finally come. Ash orders N to call off his army, to which N declines. He states they are merely fighting for a cause they believe in, and that it's no different from Ash fighting him here. If you have something you believe in, you will fight for it. Nobody can deny your feelings, and no one can force you to stop fighting. Ashton states that people can get hurt, but N ignores him and commands Ash to send out his Pokemon, that he will waste no more time with useless talking. Ash is concerned. Zekrom isn't awake. What is he supposed to do? Ashton says to himself that if he doesn't do anything, Unova's people and Pokemon will be separated forever, that he can't let N win here, otherwise he will let a world that he is against be created. He has to show N that his ideals are stronger than his truth. Then, Ash's backpack rips as the Dark Stone comes out and starts to glow. N looks at awe, telling Ash it's awake. The Dark Stone then starts spinning as it erupts into a burst of electric energy. And Zekrom awakens at last. He roars with a roar as loud as thunder, and electricity surges across the castle. N laughs maniacally as he says, "Let the battle begin." Ash asks Zekrom for its help, and Zekrom complies. Ash versus N. Zekrom versus Reshiram. It's finally time. Ash gets on Zekrom's back, and Ash tells N it's time to finish this. The two dragons then both use Dragon Breath, and it causes the roof of the castle to explode. The two dragons, along with their masters, soar into the sky for the whole city to see. Reshiram activates Fusion Flare, and Zekrom activates Fusion Bolt, as they charge at one another over and over and over again, with neither getting the upper hand. N then uses Reshiram to attack Zekrom's leg, and Zekrom falters. N uses this opportunity to counterattack and starts constantly attacking Zekrom over and over again. Ash thinks to himself that this can't be the end. All of his friends, all of his mentors, every gym leader that has made him stronger, it has all led to this moment where he puts everything he cares about on the line, where he has to shine far brighter than he ever has been before, as bright as a lightning bolt. Ash screams to Zekrom to use Fusion Bolt, and the attack looks like a star, and everyone looks in awe as Zekrom charges headfirst at Reshiram. N calls for a counterattack, but Ash and Zekrom's ideals are one, and they won't give up. Eventually, Zekrom overpowers Reshiram, and he and N start to fall to the ground. Ash commands Zekrom to help them, and the two are able to help the two safely land in the throne room once again without being hurt. Ash then walks up to the defeated N and hands him his hand. He tells N that it's over. He has proven that people in Pokemon can love each other no matter what. He loves Reshiram. He loves all Pokemon. And that goes for most humans. Sure, there are some who are mean, but most love their Pokemon. He then tells N that while they were enemies, the battle is now over. He tells N that the battle was a lot of fun, and now they should be friends. N laughs as he accepts Ash's hand, telling him he has won fair and square. Ash then tells N he needs to tell his army to stand down, and N agrees to this, but before they can do anything, they see Ghetsis standing there. He then uses a device to put Reshiram and Zekrom to sleep. He scoffs at N, telling him he is a failure and has no right to share the name Harmonia with him. N then asks what he is doing here, and Ghetsis tells him to clean up where he left off. N then counters his father, telling him the battle is already won. He fought with everything he had, but still lost. Ghetsis then laughs and calls N a stupid child. The point of this battle was never about truths and ideals, that he used N to lure out the hero so that Zekrom and Reshiram would awaken. That Team Plasma was never about liberating Pokemon. It was all a sham. The true purpose of Team Plasma is to use the legendary dragon Pokemon to take over the Unova region, with Ghetsis as its emperor. N is in shock, but Ash tells Ghetsis he won't let him have his way. Ghetsis laughs at Ash, telling him he has no chance as he sends out his partner Pokemon Hydreigon. Ash sends out Pikachu, and the two enter a battle. Pikachu is trying to hold his own against Hydreigon, but he is just too powerful. Ash then tells Pikachu it's time they take things to the next level. Ash then turns back his hat, and he and Pikachu go in for a full-on attack. Ghetsis tells him it's useless, that he will defeat him and claim Reshiram and Zekrom for himself. But Ash won't let up, and he and Pikachu are one. He tells Pikachu that this is all for Unova, and together they can do this. Ash calls out a Thunderbolt and hits the two dragons, which wakes them up, willing to fight by Ash's side. N then looks at Ash in awe, calling him the true hero of Unova. Ash then commands Reshiram to use Fusion Flare, Zekrom to use Fusion Bolt, and Pikachu to use Thunderbolt, which knocks out Ghetsis and Hydreigon. The battle is finally won, and N wastes no time and heads outside, telling his army to stop the attack. Team Plasma then surrenders as the international police arrive on the scene. N walks back to the throne room and tells Ash that ever since he met him, he had always been an enigma to him, because Pikachu said that he actually liked him. Up until that moment, N had never met a Pokemon that had liked their trainer. But the more he traveled, the more he saw people in Pokemon together, laughing, crying, eating, and playing together. However, he felt like he still had to fight, but now he's been proven wrong. Now he needs time to think about everything, but not before turning over to Ash. You have a dream, right? To be a Pokemon Master. Make that dream come true. And then hops on Reshiram, and Zekrom also gets up. Ash knows it's also time to say goodbye to him. And Reshiram and Zekrom then fly off into the distance. this making Ash the winner of his match against N, advancing him to the finals, and the Team Plasma arc has come to an end. It has now been a couple of days, and the Unova League Stadium is somehow still standing, and it's time for the finals of the Unova League. Ash will be taking on a trainer who seemingly came out of nowhere, but who is quite powerful. Iris. Yes, the trainer that was inspired by Ash to enter the league is his final hurdle standing in the way between him and the Unova League Championship. Iris comes out with a brand new outfit, telling Ash this is the moment she has been waiting for. The two grin and the Unova League Finals begins. The first battle is between Ash's Darmanitan and Iris's Aggron. Aggron goes in for a full-on offensive attack, and so does Darmanitan. Darmanitan punches Aggron over and over and over again with an assault of attacks, but Aggron is able to defend itself using its shield. Eventually, Darmanitan tires itself out and is taken out by Aggron. Ash tells Iris that she has definitely grown stronger, but can only get so far. Next up is Samurott, who unleashes a tidal wave of attacks on Iris's Aggron. Aggron can't withstand the amount of water and is taken out. So next up, Iris sends in Lapras, who then turns the battlefield into a field of ice. Samurott is obviously having trouble standing, but then Ash gets an idea. Samurott takes out its scale chops and uses them as ice skates. The battle then continues on, and both Pokemon then knock each other out. Next up, the two send in Unpheasant and Hydreigon. The battle once again becomes a battle of aerial mobility. While Hydreigon certainly has the power, Unpheasant charges at the dragon Pokemon with immense speed. But speed can only get you so far, and Hydreigon takes out Unpheasant with receiving very little damage, as most of Unpheasant's efforts were dodging Hydreigon's attacks. Next up, Ash sends in Crocodile. Hydreigon charges in with immense power, but Crocodile grabs hold of the dragon-type Pokemon, withstanding the blow of its attacks. Crocodile then goes in for the offensive and is able to take out Hydreigon. However, Iris isn't done yet, as she sends in another powerful dragon-type Pokemon, Dragonite. Dragonite roars with passion as the dragon and Crocodile get into an intense battle. The two take each other on with such fierce force, and it causes the entire battlefield to rumble. The Pokemon then go in for one last attack, with Dragonite using Dragon Rush and Crocodile using the Stone Edge Blade strategy from the Icirus City Gym battle. When everything is said and over, Crocodile is the one to take the L. Ash then sends in Pikachu, who makes quick work of the severely weakened Dragonite. But Dragonite is able to deal some damage to Pikachu. Ash then substitutes Pikachu and sends in Servine against Iris's next Pokemon, Druddigon. Druddigon and Servine go at each other over and over again, with none of them giving in. However, one attack later and Druddigon is in a trance and goes down due to being distracted by Servine. Iris then sends in her last Pokemon, her ace Pokemon, the Pokemon that has been with her since the very beginning, Haxorus, who lets out a giant roar. The battle then becomes very one-sided. Despite Servine's best efforts, Haxorus is receiving barely any damage, and every time Haxorus attacks Servine, it's doing a hell of a lot of damage. Servine won't give up and is standing tall to the end, but finally it gets knocked out by Haxorus, unable to withstand any more of its power. It's down to Ash's last Pokemon, Pikachu. The battle begins and the entire stadium watches in awe as the two Pokemon go head to head. Pikachu uses every single strategy it knows against Haxorus, but Haxorus is still standing tall. The two trainers then smile at each other, telling each other how much fun this has been, and even after the crisis with Team Plasma, this has been a fantastic way to end such a climactic tournament arc in the Pokemon anime. But it's time to end this, right here, right now. Pikachu goes in for his iconic Thunderbolt, and Haxorus goes in for a Dragon Pulse. The two attacks collide. Which one will take over the other? The collision lasts for a little while, but eventually Dragon Pulse takes over Thunderbolt and directly hits Pikachu, which sadly knocks him out. Iris has become the winner of the Unova League. Ash goes over to Pikachu's side and decides that this time he won't cry, because that was the best battle he could have asked for, and he tells himself he guesses he'll just have to improve for next time. Iris comes over to Ash and shakes his hand and tells him that this was a great battle. Ash shakes her hand and tells Iris that she'd better make it all the way to the champion, because he made a promise to someone that he would beat Alder. If he can't do it, then it has to be her, the one who was able to best all of them and make it to the very top. Iris tells Ash she'll continue on the promise that Ash made, obviously referring to the promise Ash made to Trip. Ash looks up into the sky. Another league has come and gone. He's sadly lost again. But Ash isn't upset. In fact, he's more determined than ever to make it to the very top of the Pokemon world and become a Pokemon Master. So, what did you guys think about the climax of the series? I sadly couldn't have Ash win the league, as Ash still needs to make his way to Kalos and Alola. Trust me, if I wasn't restricted by canon, I'm pretty sure I would have had Ash win, but who knows, because that's not what we're talking about today, and I felt just, if anyone was going to beat Ash, it should have been Iris, as she continues on her way to become the champion in the Black and White 2 games, and she also becomes the champion in the anime, so I just felt like it fit. Next time, we are going to have an epilogue, which will show Ash's transition into the X and Y series. I know I'm making the series a lot shorter than I initially wanted it to be. I wanted it to be like 15 parts, but everything just ended a lot quicker than possible, so I'm really sorry about that, but this was sadly the last part. It suddenly got really cold in here. Oh God, what is that?